Man, what else is there to say? This is another really great Castlevania game, but with a slightly different approach. Instead of it being only focused on Dracula's castle, this game had portraits. Yep, you go into these portraits and they're like a mini level, kind of like Super Mario 64. You get into a painting and you may get like a level, and I really like the idea actually because it allows the game to have different locations and settings to explore that aren't just the castle, you know? I mean, the castle obviously has a lot of diversity, usually because there's underground parts, there's libraries, and of course a dungeon, and usually the castle usually has a lot of parts, but this goes even further beyond, because you go from fucking Great Britain to freaking the sand, the desert. You can see a lot of different types of like level design, right? They are pretty different. So I like that. Some of these levels obviously have a couple of issues, which is like sometimes they have like a bit corridor heavy, especially during some parts, but it's not the end of the world. I think they're pretty fine. Aside from that, this game also has something else new, which is using two characters. You can switch between Jonathan and Charlotte. Jonathan is one of the relatives of the Belmonts, and he plays like those basically. He plays like I'm the melee character of the game, using swords, lances, axes, whatever you equipment, and of course the vampire killer. But he's not a true Belmont, so he can't use it to his full power yet. We'll get to that later in the game. And Charlotte being a mage, she's super fun. You get to cast some spells. You can charge them up for complete strength, or just use the smaller version. And I think they were actually balanced pretty well because, well, at least in my playthrough, I don't know how other people's experiences might be, but in my playthrough, Charlotte basically dominated the early game because the early game and some of the mid game, most of the mid game too, actually, because her spells do so much damage, and especially when you can charge them up, and they can just clear rooms and do, those they do so much damage and make the game a lot easier with their range. But as the game progresses into the late game, the later game bosses usually get a lot faster and aggressive, and they will not give her the time to cast those spells. And by that point, Jonathan usually has enough good weapons that he can be your main character in combat. I mean, you can play with just Jonathan or Charlotte for the whole game if you want to, but I really enjoy the idea of switching between the two, right? Like Jonathan will be my guy clearing the mobs, but when it came to bosses, Charlotte will be the big damage character. And then once the bosses get harder, then Jonathan became my main dude for the bosses, and Charlotte became my main dude for clearing out the mobs. So I really had a lot of fun with them, man. Yeah, man. The story about this game is a pretty simple coming-of-age story for Jonathan. Jonathan never really got to learn how to use the vampire killer and know his dad a lot. He has a lot of insecurities, but as he progresses through the game, he gets to know more about what happened with his father and what his decision to follow the path of the vampire killer is, and that results in one of the best quote-unquote optional fights in the series. Optional because you don't have to, but I mean, you might as well do, bro. There's almost no reason to do it. It's the freaking 1v1 fight to unlock the true power of the vampire killing. And man, that fight was pretty amazing. No, not much else to say. Oh, and of course, just like Dawn of Sorrow, it also has some fantastic bosses, man. Fucking Bronner is also one of my favorite final bosses that I fought in these Castlevania games. Richter, I just mentioned it, and freaking the final boss, which uh I'll I'll mention in like 5 seconds in case you wanna avoid spoilers. Who cares? I already did my warning. The final bosses, which are Death and Dracula, together at the same freaking time, bro. This shit is so hard, but it was so fun and it was so good, man. All of these fights kept me on the edge of my seat all the time, man. And the battle against, oh, dude, these three fights are fucking peak, bro. I mean, you still had some other good bosses like the sisters, but nah, those three fights, peak. They were amazing, and there's so many cool things that I can say about this game. I mean, I already said them, Oh, the soundtrack, man. Um, it having a lot of locations means that the OST can be a lot of pretty different and have be very diverse. But also because of the more different direction that this game took compared to the previous one, in that it's more like I said, it's a more lighthearted coming of age story. It means that the OST can just be vibing, man. It's just bangers, and who else to get bangers more than Yuzo Koshiro, man? Unfortunately, near the end of the game, the game kind of like pats it out. Uh, Before you can manage to fight Dracula, the game forces you to do like different mini versions of the portraits again. But these levels, they're basically just corridors, man. They're just corridors and like a darker palette or a different palette of the paintings that you already visited, right? So it's not. It just feels like padding, man. I mean, maybe I think there's like one or two cool bosses in those extra paintings, but man, they just feel like padding, man. I just feel like this could have been a fucking 10 out of 10, 5 to 6 hour game, but oh, it had to get padded up for like an hour or two, depending on how fast you clear them with. It hurt it, man. It really did. It really could have been a tough game for me, but I don't know. I feel like pa padding it near the end is such a pain, man. At least in my opinion, if you're gonna pad things, pad them in the early to mid game, right? And I'll still hate it a bit, but I'm can accept it a bit more because I know the ending parts will be banging. So yeah. I mean, listen, even with that, this game is still fantastic. Still one of my favorites. Just like Dawn of Sorrow, it has some great post-game modes with a lot of content with being able to use Richter, being able to use the sisters, and yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? Richter feels really nice to control in this game. He's I guess he's kind of like a middle point between like GBA Julius and DS Julius in the sense that he's very, 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 very strong, but you can still die if you're not careful, right? Like while GBA Julius is overpowered and DS Julius is more balanced for like the game mode, Richter feels like a little point in the middle because he's really strong, but you can't get careless either. So freaking banger game, man. This game is pretty good. gonna sound pretty generic, but what if Dark Souls was a 2D Metroidvania game? This game is probably the closest answer to that question. Sultan Sanctuary is a pretty beautiful game. It's got a really beautiful 2D art, which is also pretty dark and edgy, with a bleak world that it takes place in a super big island that is very interconnected with so many shortcuts from area to area. Man, it really had that. It really caught it that special feeling of exploration that I have not felt since the first half of Dark Souls 1. Finding shortcuts that led to places and then doing like, oh my god, it started here? You know, posted here. It just felt so good, man. It really did. I think the gameplay is pretty well. It does the job well. The combat feels nice. Well, depending on the weapon, I think it can feel better or worse. But in my case, it always felt nice using the sword for like the trick combo, canceling to the jumping attack and shit like that. Feels pretty nice. And just like the Souls inspiration, it has the parries, it has spells. You have you have bonfire saves. I mean, yeah. But the combat is a lot more fast-paced. So with a lot of like in a good way, yeah. It also has a lot of dark main weapons to pick from, and in kind of a strange way, you can have like two sets of weapons that switch between them, kind of like the Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow game, which is pretty nice because being able to change movesets on the fly depending on the situation is super nice, especially if it's like you can go like you can have like a one set for like traversing the level and fighting mobs, and another moveset with like a shield or something if you want to fight a boss, right? Like I had one set with a shield and a spear, and the other one was with like a crossbow or rifle with the sword. Usually to like be able to hit mobs from far away to like get their aggro to not get ganked, and you know if they started attacking me a lot, then I could just switch the shield. Depending, I could always switch the set depending if I wanted to be on the defense or offense. And that was so cool, man. I cannot talk enough about how good that feels like, being able to like explore the level and be able to like, for the most part, be ready for almost any situation. Of course, there's some parts which are not the best. There are some places where you can just fall off and immediately die. I mean, obviously some of them are intentional trolls, but still kind of sucks sometimes. This game nails it pretty nice in those departments, I think. The soundtrack, I think, does its job well, but since it's an indie game, it doesn't have that many tracks. I think it has like less than 20 or so. So, especially in boss fights, you'll hear that they repeat themselves a lot. But I mean, at least for me, it wasn't a big that much of a big deal. But for other people, you can just probably put something else in the back, like I don't know. And unfortunately, though, just like Dark Souls 1, I want to say the game definitely has a peak and then it falls off a little bit, but it's nowhere near as bad as Dark Souls 1, and not as long, at least in my opinion, of course. I want to say probably about the 60-65% of the game there's like a little drop off because the later areas are a bit more repetitive, and they start putting more bosses than quality bosses, right? Like more quantity over quality. So yeah, like some of the bosses you can just they're not that fun to fight, or by that point you can just beat them up super quickly. Um, and the thing is that's the thing is when you put a lot of like bosses just for a single quantity, you can really just start to realize that there are some patterns that repeat themselves. It's kind of like when you play Monster Hunter and you find like a Radiant and a Rathalos, you see, oh, they move almost the same with just a slight difference. Something like that. Which you could have been. I think it could have easily been avoided if they didn't cram so many bosses near the end. It just felt like I don't know why they felt like they had to do that. You know, but it is what it is. Um, but that said, I never really burned out because, well, in my case, I played the co-op with a friend with maybe like 1 or 2 sessions per week. So by the time we finish like a boss, we will like take a break and then face it for like a couple of days, right? So I didn't really feel that repetition too much compared to like someone who like has like a long session to beat the game, right? In that sense, I do think it's probably better to like approach this game to through like sessions, so that especially during the later parts of the game, so that the repetition is more tolerable. I don't think it's that bad. I think you can definitely still enjoy the game. And just like Dark Souls 1, that the last dungeon is the last part of the game, I think it ends with a high enough note that it makes the previous parts a little bit. It makes the previous parts more tolerable, I think, because the aesthetic of the final level is so amazing, man. I freaking love it, and it just left me normalized the first time I got it. And I guess another maybe like a flaw is it can either be a flaw or just neutral depending on how you feel it. But there is a big skill tree system, and they're super big, and it can probably be a bit confusing to people who don't know or haven't seen these type of things. Um, for me personally, I didn't mind it too much because I prefer picking and being able to see, what path I want to like upgrade on. I do like that, but I can definitely understand if someone sees it and gets fucking scared, bro. It's really big. You have to like probably the first time you level up, you probably have to like take a couple of notes of where you're gonna go on the skill tree and where you wanna focus on. So yeah, I mean, I can understand if it's a big deal for some people. I mean, I did not for me. For me, it's just, oh, I'm just gonna check where do I wanna go, then I'll be fine. Oh, and I guess not having a map. I've seen some people complain that not having a map. I mean, I guess in a Souls game, because they're 3D, it's a lot easier to like memorize where things go to where. But I guess in a 2D game like this, where you don't always remember where the shortcuts are or where some doors are, it can make a lot confusing to navigate. And I can understand that for sure. For me, because I play with a friend, I will usually keep track of things on Discord chat and pinning the messages around where they are, and with like a screenshot. So I was able to like deal with it without too much trouble. But I can definitely understand if there are people who see no map and fucking panic and get lost, bro. It can definitely be pretty. It can be a bigger map than you think at first, but that's what makes it so much fun to explore, man. Especially the first time around. I already said it, but mwah, I love the exploration on this game. And oh, I guess another flaw is also that the co-op is only local, so you have to make the two characters on the same PC and play through Parsec or Steam Remote Play. Online will be good for sure, but I think maybe keeping it simple with just parsec or simple play is fine too. I don't think there's much. The only thing is that you just gonna make a character on your friend's PC, but that takes like 5 minutes usually. So not really that much of a big deal, I think. Being able to play with a friend on the same screen feels nice, man. Exploring with a friend is just perfect, and it makes the tedious parts of the game a lot more enjoyable, I think, because you just you can just be there with a friend. Like I said, having if a game has flaws but you can play it co-op, it makes it so much more easier to deal with, man. Like for real. And honestly, even then with those flaws, this game was pretty fantastic, man. It gave me some feelings that I didn't have in a long time, man. I already started to love Metroidvanias since I started playing Castlevania during the pandemic, and now getting something that is very Souls-like inspired that pretty much nails the atmosphere and, at least in my opinion, nails the exploration part of it. It just felt so good, man. It really did. That's why I can really say, I think if you have a friend that you can parsec with, you should give this a shot, man, for sure. We are so back. Oh my god. Oh my god, I'm back? 98 people? Oops. Oh my god. We're back. I'm back. Wait. Hold up. Oh my god. Holy shit. Oh my god, I'm back. Look, I'm still with this sleepy. No way. Yeah, my friend lost his combat. Who cares? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. I'm back, baby. We are so back. I mean, what else is there to say that I didn't say in that video that I made like a few years ago? It's up there, by the way. I'm shielding it. Yes, I'm shielding it because that's where I put all my thoughts about this game. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what else to say, man. I mean, I kinda do. So, I guess I can say the condensed version here. So, well, first off, this game literally changed my life, right? It really did, man. I think we all remember our first like big like online game, right? Like for some people it was RuneScape, for some people it was World of Warcraft, for others it may have been the original Phantasy Star Online. Well, for me it was Monster Hunter 3. What hooked me in was just the nice action gameplay that it had. It was a simple idea of just fighting monsters and and fighting monsters, getting their parts, making better equipment. It was such a simple loop that just got me in, and you know I jumped in immediately. The moment I saw that it was online, I was like, oh wait, I can play this with people, and boom, suddenly you can see Lock Lack, the main hub of the area, which had a global chat, and you could literally just say hello, and someone will probably say hello back to you, and that is some that is something that I really miss on the new Monster Hunter games, right? And honestly, at some point, just interacting with people was it went from just interacting between hunts and say hello to actually just me befriending people and just literally doing nothing but sitting on the tavern and talking, or legitimately, like it got to that point. This game opened the floodgates for me, bro. It literally changed my life. Now, why am I putting it here? Because I mean, this is my comfy game to just like put up, maybe help some people that are just trying to get into this game and just try to make things easier for them. So see it back again, it feels good. Big thanks to the MH3 SP team and everyone who worked on this private server to make it work. Big thank you, man. I really appreciate it. And with that said, if you ever feel like trying out this game, then just let me know. Um, it might be a bit old-fashioned for the newer hunters that have a lot of quality of life things. You have to grind a lot more things, but that's what makes Monster Hunter 3 unique, right? It's like you probably you don't have to grind as much as in 1 or 2, but you still gotta grind a lot, right? You still gotta do a lot of things if you want to progress. But it really feels like a nice, amazing middle point between the early games and the later games being easier. So if you have the time, let me know. I'll let me know. This game's fantastic. This game is great. There you go. Oh, only the plastic spots?
Shit. You gotta roll. Ow.
No!
Ooh.
Let me get it. Ooze.
Oh, you got it.
The power of friendship. Oh shit, yo!
For real this time. After finishing my fucking 130 hours fucking playthrough, I can finally say that Elden Ring is the best fucking game that I don't want to replay on my own again. And I mean that in the best fucking way possible. What do I mean by this? Well, the game was a freaking ride, man. It's from start to finish, there's just so many things that you can do. This game is special in good and some bad ways. But the thing is, on your first playthrough, you won't notice those bad things a lot. I mean, you probably will, but like when you're like ending the game. But those I want to say the first 30 to 50 hours, absolutely special game, bro. It's just beautiful. All of the places that you can visit, the way that the game is structured, so that you can fight the main story bosses, but if you can't handle them at the moment, you can just go explore the open world, go do some dungeons, caves, get stronger, come back, beat their asses. It's a pretty simple formula, but it's just the way that the world is designed is so beautifully done. Like, it's just it's kind of like Breath of the Wild, in the sense that you have, well, not like climbing stuff, but you do have pretty much the freedom to go whenever you want and just see what's happening, right? The game doesn't hold your hand, and you can, aside from like just telling you the basics of what you gotta do. So you are the one in control of your own adventure. You are the one that chooses where to go, um, and when you wanna do things. And yeah, I mean, when it comes to like the main story bosses, I wanna say FromSoft did a home run again. Did a freaking multiple home runs again. A lot of the bosses were pretty fun. Again, I mean, Goldrick, I think is a fantastic like first one of the first real bosses that you fight. He's Margit too. I mean, yeah, Margit and Goldrick are some of the best like first bosses that you fight. First like real bosses that you fight. That aren't just cave bosses, right? The presentation in a lot of the presentation in pretty much all the bosses are fantastic, man.
Oh! Yeah!
Oh!
Okay, we'll live.
Fire! Oh, Alexander!
Holy!
I got you. Let's go! Yo, the Shuriken! My goat. My goat.
Oh, holy shit.
The locales that you see in this game, from just the regular city to the fucking, from like the on all the places, are fucking fantastic. From like the initial area that you're into, then to the Rotten Kelly, to the water-filled Leonia of the lakes, because you know it's a big ass lake, and the capital. The capital is beautiful, and you know it just keeps going and going, right? Full of beautiful freaking areas. It's like they cram like 2 or 3 Dark Souls games into just one game, bro. That's insane because every like pretty much every like area has like this like one big area which is like a whole ass fucking it's worth like a whole ass Souls area, and there's just so much content that you can see, bro, that you may not, and other content that you may not even see without using a guide. This game is just so much stuff, but that's that's also one of its weaknesses, right? It has a lot of stuff that you will probably miss without a guide. It has a lot of stuff that, especially when it comes to like wanting to build, make your weapon as strong as you can. It's very easy to miss some of those side quests or places that give you the things that you need. And the other thing that happened is because of this, there's a lot of reuse of bosses, which unfortunately does affect the experience, because doing dungeons at first is great, but as the more you end up doing them, it definitely starts to you definitely start to notice, things that were reused. And I mean, depending on how you feel about it, you either won't mind or maybe you will mind. I mean, personally, I didn't mind for the most part, but later in the game, I did a little bit, yeah, 'cause it does feel like they were probably, they could just scale some of the dungeons, maybe put more items in the same dungeon instead of having to put even more of them. It does feel like they have that Zelda Breath of the Wild problem where like they wanted to put places everywhere just so that you could like visit and explore, which is, I mean, I get the intention, but it's also like, I don't think they needed to do that much. You just need to put like maybe like a couple of dungeons per area, and that would have been fine. But it is what it is. That doesn't, and that's why I think this game is fucking fantastic on your first run. It's a special game, and it can be more special if you play with friends, I think. Well, I mean, just personally, right? I do think.
What the
Oh!
fuck?
He's trying.
Oh! He just died? Oh, what
No, that's not good. You're not supposed to be there, bro. Can I make him jump to fall? Ayo, jump. Can you guys fall? Can you fall? Doesn't look like he can fall. No!
I can though.
I wonder if he. Oh, Wally, no!
Wally! Here, follow me.
Gotcha. Oh, because too much deathlight?
way too much Deathlight.
What the fuck? Wooly! Wooly the goat! Wooly!
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP!
Wooly the goat!
That's why he's the GOAT!
The
The
goat!
GOAT!
I'm back. What the fuck is happening? What? Error?
Stop it. Get some help.
Going to the waterfall.
Oh, that was for the trailer at E3. I haven't seen them use it.
Fucking hate you.
Damn,
Why
I'm
are you
good.
listening to that?
Damn, I'm good.
I'm just gonna come as hard as I can.
The fuck you think you casting, brother? I'll do it. I'll do it. Watch this.
Alright, guy.
Oh!
Watch this proceeds to die, boy.
Gravity is my biggest enemy. Damn. So much for hiding. Uh oh.
Is he here?
Yep, he's up there.
Bro. Did he just?
What? Well, that was one of the bases of all time. His searching skills or something. Oh, there it is!
What?
Ain't no way! Ain't no fucking way! You know what? I can't even blame them because that almost happened to us. Oh. Ah!
What the fuck?
I jumped back and fell into the void.
Brother lost the Gideon off.
Those first couple of days where I played with my friends were absolutely special, and the run that in the end I ended up finishing with my friend because I am the type of person that kinda gets lost in the open world games like this, so having someone to like guide me through and help me was a fucking blessing, right? And yeah, I mean that's one thing that made this run even more special. That's why I don't want to replay this game on my own again because you do feel a little bit like burned out a little bit at the end, right? But burned out, I want to say burned out in like a good way, because you saw if you did all as much stuff as you possibly could before ending it, then before ending your playthrough, then shoosh, you saw a lot of things, man. You really did. You experienced so many different ambushes, so many different locales, so many different random fronts of bullshit, or you know, there's so many experiences to get into this game, man. And because of those experiences is that, you know, I'm repeating myself a lot, but I really want to say it. The first playthrough of this game is absolutely fucking special. And that's and you know, that's why this is the best game that I don't ever want to replay on my own again. Ah!
Path stretcheth into darkness.
I should have changed my helmet. No!
My fair consort eternal.
GG!